Hello, my name is Robin Ashby and I'm the Embarcadero licensing expert at Grey Matter. In this video series, I'm going to be chatting with Embarcadero Pre-Sales Director Stephen Ball to discuss and celebrate the developer ID Delphi on its 27th anniversary. In the first video, we'll be discussing how it all started, how it's being used, and some of the core features and benefits of the product. In the second video, we're going to be a deeper dive into the product, discussing other technologies that work alongside Delphi and also what the future holds for Delphi. And finally, if you're new to the tool, watch our third video to discover how you can get started with the product. Hello, Stephen. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Robin. Great to be here.
Let's start at the very beginning. Tell us how Delphi started.
Yeah, so Delphi is an Object Pascal-based language, and this was the evolution of kind of the Turbo Pascal language that started. And the team in Borland, over in Scotts Valley in California, were working on kind of the next generation of developer productivity and rapid application development, and that's where kind of Delphi kind of began. And one of the kind of the key things, people are always kind of interested about the name. Delphi at the time was, and still is today, it's a great way to be able to connect up to enterprise data. And if you want to get to the Oracle, you go to Delphi. So for those who know their Greek stories, the project name was used, and people just loved it, and it hung around.
Thanks, Stephen. Could you discuss and share the old demo and explain how it still applies today?
Yeah, so basically one of the original demos that was done was a pretty simple one, just putting a list box down, an edit control and a button, and then just using a single line of code to add additional items to the list. Now, this was kind of quite revolutionary at the time, using components and the component architecture based on strong object-oriented programming. It did away with a lot of the old challenges that people had in terms of managing states and lists and everything themselves, which was also a lot more code to write. And that's one of the things that's always kind of held true of Delphi. It's very rapid application development. It uses the property method events still today. And the great backward compatibility it has means that even the demos that were originally done 27 years ago can still be done today on the VCR for Windows, and almost identically on FireMonkey, which is our cross-platform framework for targeting multiple platforms.
Obviously, Delphi is being used across a really wide range of industries. Have you got any examples of where Delphi is being used?
Yeah, I think there's so many examples of where Delphi is used, and there's one of the great things for me in my role, pre-COVID, we used to travel around a lot talking to different developers around the world. And I've spoken to people who have software that's running high frequency exchanges within the kind of the South African Stock Exchange, to things that are being used to automate machinery, loads of POS systems, CRM systems, theatre booking systems, you name it. There's loads and loads of things out there being used and powered by Delphi.
What would you say that makes Delphi unique or slightly different from other IDEs and programming languages that are available?
One of the key things with Delphi is it brings that blend of rapid application development, low-code approaches to development, but also still gives you the full access down to the APIs on any layer, any platform that you're working on. And it does this using kind of really strong object-oriented principles, things like interfaces. So, an interface for a driver in a car would be a steering wheel. And when you get to a boat, the steering wheel is still the same interface, but what it does underneath is very different. And this same thing works across multiple platforms. If you look at, needing to use the accelerometer or the camera or the compass on a mobile device, depending on if you're iOS or Android, you need to do the same thing. How they're implemented underneath is very different. So by being able to use the interfaces, you can code once and reach across multiple platforms. And those core values within the libraries and the framework means that we're able to target natively across Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and Linux from a single code base. And with, I say, 27 years and over 10 years now with the FireMonkey framework, the frameworks are really mature and provide great usability and functionality across all platforms.
I mean, obviously 27 years, long time. I mean, how would you say that Delphi's managed to adapt with all the modern business trends over the years?
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, the one thing for developers is that the style of coding within Delphi means you can respond rapidly to the changes of your customer base. But in terms of what our developers need to keep moving forward, we've always looked to innovate around new technologies that have been coming through, from SOAP support originally, up to the most recent stuff with kind of Windows 10 store, and even kind of the WinUI 3 controls, and showing support for those. It's been really important to make sure that we've got that in and available, but also that backward compatibility for the code is very easy to kind of bring the product and your old code investment forward. And that's been done using kind of the components and the frameworks that we have, by being able to make sure that we can abstract away from the developer the challenges of the platforms. A really good example recently, Windows 10 introduced high DPI support with multiple monitors working at different resolutions and so on, which has been a major challenge for a lot of app developers. But we've been able to kind of boil that down to looking at the kind of the key areas, images and icons and those kind of things that are quite often challenging, and provide back an innovative solution that enables the developers just to swap out a single component set and then have that virtually picking up what's going on and providing the right images back to the Windows controls automatically, which has meant there's great backward compatibility for code that's been written for many years to be able to be brought forward very quickly.
What would you say to those people, though, who still think of Delphi as a legacy product?
Yeah, I think legacy is one of those interesting things. We hear people talking about, oh, we're using Python now because it's kind of new. Well, actually, Python was around before, Delphi was around. And legacy really is a term that gets used to talk about projects that are not really actively maintained and managed and worked on. And the great thing about Delphi is that we're actually seeing a huge growth in terms of people using it, but also people who are picking up some of their legacy code bases and realizing actually the code investment they've made there is still really relevant for today, and are upgrading it and moving it forward because it's the lowest risk to their business, it's the quickest and most effective way to be able to bring that functionality forward to the modern things like high DPI and the other Windows 10, Windows 11 support features that are critical to making apps work on the modern platforms.
Thanks, Stephen. This concludes our first video in the series about how Delphi began, key features and how it was being used across the globe. We'd also love to hear from the people who already use Delphi. Please comment or get in touch with us about what you love about the product and what applications you're creating with the tool. Make sure also to watch our next video, which will cover how Delphi works with the cloud, Python, and also what the future holds. The Grey Matter contact details are on the screen if you have any questions or Delphi stories to share. Thank you for watching.